Hello, my name is Liza Elise, or Cafe Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the decks that got some pretty interesting upgrades from the, as of recording most recent set, DZ-BT-12. That being Orfist. Specifically, this is going to be Orfist Masques, but we'll get to that when we get there. Orfist is a deck that really relies on its set orders, its worlds. It's used to be unique token, also has 2 Shadow Army tokens, which are grade 1 15k units with boosts, so they're really big attackers and boosters. But without further ado, we'll explain some more of the deck as we go through it. Let's get into the list. So, got the Cardinal Fang Fovi, which is just a regular starter, and then Cardinal Rudis, who, when placed on Vanguard Circle, you can search the deck for a world card and add it to hand. And during the battle, attacks or boosts on Rearguard Circle, as long as you have your world in Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, you'll gain 2k. That'll never come up unless you somehow revive it. Our grade 2 is Cardinal Cubisha, who, as an auto on Rearguard Circle, when you play a world order, you get to give a unit 5k, and it's a 15k beater on Rearguard Circle. And of course, our Vanguard is the Cardinal Dominus Orfist Regis, for at the very least the Ride deck, who, when placed on Vanguard Circle, you can take a world from drop or hand and just shove it into the order zone. That doesn't take your play. And while you should never need to do this, he does have the on attack skill for +1 discard a card as long as you are in Abyssal Dark Knight. You get to call an additional Shadow Army token for every 2 worlds and he'll gain an additional 5 for every Shadow Army token you call. And before we get into our grade 3 cards, I actually do want to go through the worlds. The worlds are a type of set order. We've got a nice variety of them here, starting with 2 copies of the grade 3 Overcoming Eternity, which can be played for Soul Blast 2, but this is one of the ones you're going to cheat in. All worlds have this continuous ability that if your order zone only has world cards, you get the following effects depending on the number. As long as you have 1, your world is in Dark Knight, and if you have 2, the world is Abyssal Dark Knight. Overcoming Eternity has an auto skill that whenever you play a Shadow Army token, you get to give it an additional 5k. So that puts them to being 20k boosters. Real big. Going into our grade 2 worlds, I'm on 2 copies of Halloween Little Night, which can be played with Soul Blast 1. And when it's put into the order zone, draw a card. I'm on 1 copy of Eclipse to Moonlight that can be played with Counterblast 1, and it'll call a Shadow Army token when put into the order zone. And lastly, for orders, we've got the promo card Twilight Boundary, which, when put in the order zone, you can reveal a grade 3 Orfist in your Ride deck, and if you do, or you're on a Orfist Vanguard, you get to draw a card. And in the order zone, as long as you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Orfist, its card name, and it was not put in to the order zone this turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and rest it to call a Shadow Army token. And until the end of the turn, its name changes to Casting a Shadow in the Dusky Night. The name change is actually really important for reasons we'll get to shortly. Going into our grade 3 cards, I'm on 4 copies of Cardinal Moore's Orfist Masques, which is going to be our main Vanguard and win condition. Like all masks, has the condition that it cannot be ridden. You cannot ride into it unless you're riding from an Orfist. It's got the ability to remove an Orfist from soul, hand, or drop to place a set order, a world set order, from drop into the order zone. And when he attacks by counterblasting 1 and putting any number of worlds from your order zone into the drop, you get to call any number of Shadow Army tokens equal to the number put. And as long as you call at least 2 Shadow Army tokens, he'll get an additional drive check. Just leagues better than Regis. You're not losing out on cards in hand at all. Oh, then I'm only on 1 copy of Mask of Hydrogram. You have enough ways to search it out that I don't think you need to do more than this. Which, when played, you check the top 5 cards of your deck, add a Dragon Tree or Mass unit from among them to hand, and shuffle. And as long as you have a grade 3 unit without Masques while it's in the drop zone, you can put it to Soul and reveal Mass in your hand to Superior Ride. And if the opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, it's a Persona Ride. Going to our grade 2s, we've got the reason that different name is actually relevant. Polarxis Dragon, who, on place for a single Soul Blast as long as you have an Orfist Vanguard, you get to pick a world with a different name than the ones in your Aura Zone and put it into the Aura Zone. And when he's retired from the rearguard circle or discarded from hand during the battle phase, as long as your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, you get to draw a card. So that's one of the ways you're going to be plussing a lot and going to be recycling the orders. On that, we're on 2 copies of the brand new Dragon Tree Rat Kai's Kitewool, who, on place for 3 energy, gets to search the deck for Mask of Hydrogram, and you can counterblast 1 and bind it to put down a Dragon Tree marker that doesn't, on a circle that doesn't have the marker. And you get to check the top 7 cards of your deck for either a Masques unit or a Griffagila, or if you have 1 or less in bind, so first time you use it, you can just search the whole deck for 1. So like I said, you've got some searchers for the Mask. Go to our grade 1s, which is going to be a lot of our bread and butter for setting stuff up. I'm on 3 copies of Cardinal Fang Rafflog, who is a Technique guard as long as you have the world in Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, and when placed, as long as the world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, you get energy blast 3 to check the top 7 and add a grade 3 without Regalis Piece or a world card from amongst them to hand. On that, I'm on 4 copies of Cardinal Draco Dalcomanus, who, on place, as long as the world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, you get to dump a world from your deck, and you'll gain 2k. And you can bind them from drop for 2 energy if you have an Orfist Vanguard to get an extra Shadow Army token. So these are some of your main searchers and ways you compress the deck down. And on our last searcher, we've got 4 copies of the brand new Dragon Tree Rich Elmadat, who, when placed on a rearguard circle with a Dragon Tree marker or discarded from hand to ride, you get to check the top 7 cards of your deck and add 1 card with Dragon Tree or Masques as a different name from this card from my summon to hand. So just another way to search the Mask. And along with that, by removing it, you get to pick one of your Masques Vanguards. You reduce the number of units it needs to remove from the game by 1. So that's the reason we're only on 1 Orfist, is because this replaces that remove cost. Rounding out our grade 1s is, of course, 4 Sentinels. Going into the trigger lineup, of course, I'm on 8 criticals. I'm on 3 of Empyrio, the shield front. You can definitely do soul fronts or draw triggers even if you want to see more combo pieces or build up soul. I personally think you have exactly enough soul to get through the game in most occasions, so the extra shield is going to be the best bet. 4 heal triggers, and of course it is a Brandgate deck, so I'm sticking onto the Nation OT Outer Breath, who doubles the attack and critical of all your front row units when drove check. Going to the pros and cons of the deck, the deck can draw and just cycle through itself a lot. So you're going to be able to compress it down a lot. With the number of hits in the deck, Rafflog is always hitting at least 1. Dalcomanus can targeted hit whatever you're missing from your lines. And then you've got ways to search out the Mask too. 2, the number of free discards in the deck for Ride or for Perfect Guard are staggering. As long as you keep 1 in hand for the next turn, pretty much all your worlds are free discards. Almadat, Dalcomanus. If you have the Mask in hand and Orfist Mask, the Mask. All your worlds, since you can play them all from crop. And 3, one of my biggest issues with the deck gets helped out a lot by the existence of Almadat. You don't have an additional couple of grade 3s with no guard value in the deck that reduce your defense. You're not like running into as many hands where you can't guard anymore. And as a side note, with Tie Boundary being a grade 1, that's going to be your search every time, so you're always going to be able to draw an extra card deeper on your first turn and start digging through. Going into some of the cons of the deck, though, you still are on 9 order cards, so that's still 9 cards without card value. Thinking of throwing Guardian Circle for any kind of guard restrict. If you run out of ways to recycle the orders, you do. It is kind of a death sentence because you're not really going to be able to do anything. And you're always going to need to send at least 2 to get the additional drive checks and the additional attacks for Orfist Masques. So there will come a point where you run out of gas. Along with that, the deck can sometimes feel a little slow still. Twilight Boundary, sped it up by a turn. It makes the deck flow a lot better. It makes the deck a lot more playable. Element Up being a free discard that can search out a mask also makes the deck a lot more playable. You don't have to run as many copies of the mask or searchers or anything. But the deck is still... the deck sometimes feels a little behind still. It has a bit of early game with the Delcomonis and Rathalon calls. But aside from that, you've got nothing else. One of the other pros of the deck, though, that I forgot to mention, the numbers get really big. Like, this is a format where there's a lot of guard around, a lot of cards that get extra guard value, and the numbers that Orfist Masques can hit can just tower over them. But that is my list. This is by far one of my favorite bracket decks that's ever existed. I hope we keep getting support for it. But if you guys like the video, like my list, like me, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see y'all next time. Ciao.